Welcome again to students of Baverstock Academy and Baverstock in the City. Before we look at this video, I would like to remind you that you can pause or rewind the video whenever you want to. This video is video 2 in the How To series, and this one is how to improve your grade in the English exam. We're going to have a look at the top tips for success in the English exam. I want to look at some general advice first, and then we'll go on to some specific advice about answering the questions in the English exam. In our English exam, we should work through the questions in order. There is nothing to be gained by going to the last question first, or looking for the easiest questions like you may do in maths. We must make sure that we plan our time in the exam so that we have enough time to check our answers. We may have made a mistake somewhere, and correcting it or adding a bit more detail could make a difference to our final grade. Yes, it really could. We must not worry if we make a mistake. We should just put a line through the incorrect word or words like this. Use a black pen as well, or a blue pen. You won't be able to use any other pen in the exam other than black or blue, so make sure that you've got enough pens with you. If there is enough space above or below our crossed out word, then we should write our corrections there. If there's not enough space, we should write the corrections where there is some room, putting an asterisk, a star, like this, by the error and by the corrected word or words. We must check the number of marks available for each question or question part. The time we spend on each question must be related to the marks available for that question. For example, question 1A. How do wealthy guests arrive at the Hotel Everest View? You will see here that there is just 1 mark available for this question. So we're only going to spend a short amount of time on it. However, many correct 1 mark answers add up to a lot of marks, so we must be careful to make sure that our answer is correct. Don't think that just because it's only worth 1 mark, it isn't worth spending some time on it to make sure that it is correct. It is important, and you should make sure that these 1 mark answers are correct. However, a question worth 6 marks is expecting you to write a lot more than a question worth only 1 mark, so it is important that we check the number of marks available for each question or question part. We must look for the key words in the question and underline them. What is the question asking us to do? For example, these are the instructions that you might see at the top of your exam paper. Read carefully the passage Mountain Madness in the reading booklet and then answer all the questions on this question paper. This is the first question, question 1A. How do wealthy guests arrive at the Hotel Everest View? We should look now for the key words and underline them. So what have we got? Wealthy guests, we're looking for something about those. Arrive at the hotel. Those are the key words for this question. There is no need to repeat the whole of the question before beginning your answer, however many marks are available. You might say he means that, or it is because, and that is enough to provide a good introduction to your sentence. This will save you time. So for this 1 mark question, all we need to write is by aeroplane and then they walk up the hill or the mountain. I know the answer to this question because I've read the passage Mountain Madness, but you will get a chance to read it later on in this video, and then you will see why my answer is correct and worth 1 mark. We must remember to use correct punctuation. If we are unsure of when to use commas, full stops, etc., then we should look at the video on punctuation to remind ourselves. It is sometimes difficult for the reader to understand what the writer means when punctuation has not been properly used. For example, "let's eat grandma" has a very different meaning to "let us eat grandma." If water bottles are allowed in the exam hall, and we must ask our teacher about this, we should take one with us. Water will refresh us and help us to concentrate. If we get tired and lose concentration, we should put our pen down, take a few deep breaths, and have a drink of water if we can take some into the exam. This will refresh our brains and we will be able to keep producing our best work. We must remember to use paragraphs, punctuation, our powerful adjectives and conjunctions right to the very last question. We're now going to move on from the general advice and we're going to have a look at some exam tips for question 1 in your English paper. This question will ask us to either read carefully the passage or read source 1, depending which exam you are taking. The first one is the IGCSE, read carefully the passage. The second one is the GCSE, read source 1. These exam tips apply to both exams. First, we should quickly skim read the article to get the main idea or the main ideas of it. We should do this before we look at the different parts of the question. Only when we have done this should we look at the first question part. Then we carefully read the article to find the answer to each part of the question. First of all, we're going to look at the passage Mountain Madness. Before they built it 10 years ago, the highest placed hotel in the world must have seemed like a good idea. Situated on a ridge in the Himalayas, the Everest view is tastefully constructed in stone and natural wood. Those tourists who can afford to do so fly in, stroll uphill from the airstrip and gaze out from their rooms at a picture postcard view of the world's highest peak. The hotel suffers, however, from some practical drawbacks. One of these is that it has no piped water, so that every drop has to be carried up by Sherpas. This would be almost justifiable if the place were a simple mountain lodge. But the Hotel Everest View has baths and flush toilets. You can see now why I knew the answer to question 1A earlier. Those tourists who are wealthy enough can afford to fly straight in and stroll uphill. It was a 1 mark question. It doesn't need very much for your answer. Let us look now at question 1B. Remember, you must read the question carefully and underline the key words, which we will do when we've read it carefully. 1B. Using your own words, give 2 reasons why the writer thinks that the hotel's lack of piped water is a serious drawback. So firstly, we find the relevant part of the article, and I've done that here for you. I've just put that piece in, and that crossed out piece here means that it isn't relevant to the question. So, the hotel suffers, however, from some practical drawbacks. One of these is that it has no piped water, so that every drop has to be carried up by Sherpas. This would be almost justifiable if the place were a simple mountain lodge. But the Hotel Everest View has baths and flush toilets. Now we should underline the key words in the question. You have a look at this question here and have a look what you think are the key words. Okay, I'll tell you what I think are the key words. Using your own words, so in other words you can't copy from the article. Using your own words, give 2 reasons, not 1 or 3, 2, why the writer thinks that the hotel's lack of piped water is a serious drawback. Why is it a problem? We should also make a note of how many marks are available for question 1B, and it's here at the end of the question, 2 marks. Now we'll have a look at question 1B again and the space where we could put our answer, and we'll have a look at a suggested answer. But first of all, of course, we must underline the key words again. Using your own words is very important. 2 reasons is very important. Why the writer thinks that the hotel's lack of piped water is a serious drawback. Why this is a problem. I've put 2 lines here for us to write a suggested answer. In the exam there will be more space than this. You may not need it, you don't have to use it, but they will give you more space in case you need it. So let's have a look at a possible answer here. We've got to write in our own words why there is a problem with the hotel having no piped water. So let's have a look. We can see that every drop has to be carried up by the Sherpas. Now that is a big problem because somebody's got to do that. Somebody's got to carry up all the water. Why else is it a problem? Well, if it was a simple mountain lodge, it might not be a problem that there was no piped water. But this hotel has baths and flush toilets. They're going to need a lot more water than if it was a simple mountain lodge. So we've got 2 problems there, and all we need to do now is write those problems in our own words. I've done this earlier. Let's have a look what we've got here. These were my answers in my own words. First one, all the water has to be carried up to the hotel by people. Second drawback, a lot of water is needed as the hotel has baths and toilets. That's in my own words, using the information from the article. 2 marks, 1 mark for each drawback. Simple to get those 2 marks. Now I'm just going to give you some tips that will apply to all the questions in your English exam. There is no need to repeat the whole of the question before beginning your answer. He means that, or it is because, is enough. We must not waste time. It's our time that we would be wasting. The second tip, if we are asked to give 1 word or similar, we should not answer with a full sentence. It isn't needed. You're not required to answer with a full sentence if the questions says give one word or give 2 words maybe. If we're asked to write a paragraph, then we have to remember our paragraphing skills. Good punctuation, powerful adjectives and powerful conjunctions. Our answer must not look like a set of bullet points. Now here's some things that should be obvious, but sometimes aren't. Do not arrive late. You may not be allowed into the examination room if you arrive late. All of your hard work will be for nothing. Arrive on time. Get plenty of sleep the night before the exam, no less than 8 hours. We all perform much better after a good night's sleep. Eating a healthy and filling breakfast in the morning will help, because we can work better when we feel comfortably full. There only remains for me to say good luck. But exams have little to do with luck. If we have done the work and revised thoroughly, we will do well. So, don't look at exams as impossible hurdles to jump. Look at them as opportunities for us to shine and show everyone just what we can do. But I will wish you good luck in the forthcoming exam. Good luck.